Hello, lovelies. Welcome to the Garden of Guidance. My name is Katya, if you haven't met before. And if you have met before, welcome again. And today we're going to do a timeless reading for the collective. And yeah, let's see what kind of message comes through for us all. Okay, so I'm going to read a little sweet bell to open up sacred space for us and connecting. So just take a little breath with me. Okay, so let's see what we have today and dive right in. Okay, so the main word I'm hearing right now, which might be triggering to some people a little bit, and it's something I've been struggling with quite a bit lately, is focus. And of course, there's a difference between focus and obsession or fixation. And what the difference is the intention behind it. So when we're focused, we're choosing the action. We are directing our attention towards something. And it still might be something that isn't what we would like to focus on, but we have some level of control. And when obsession and fixation can be unconscious and can kind of override our desires in the moment, and we need to become self-aware and understand we're engaging in those behaviors and then kind of rein them back in. So we're talking about the positive side of intense attention. Focus that can serve you in your creative pursuits, in your health needs, in your self-care needs, and in your connection to the divine, in your spirituality. In all these areas, greater sense of focus can be really helpful. And of course, the main question is, how do we cultivate that? What would help us really tune into that feeling without adding another thing to our to-do list, without feeling like it's something that requires great discipline or is very intense for us to make happen in our lives. So how do we get into the state of focus in an easy, playful manner that feels organic to us, that feels natural to us, that feels like something we can implement in our daily life without feeling stressed by it or feeling like we are failing or we might be failing? And the word I'm hearing is playfulness. So it's kind of letting things we love guide us towards them, and then invoking that sense of discipline, that sense of commitment once a spark has been ignited, and then allowing that flow to continue towards your area of desire. So for example, maybe you would like to work on a creative project and you've been putting it off or procrastinating. Perhaps you're having some feelings of resistance based on insecurities, or there's going to be some logistical challenges to overcome before the project really starts flowing and taking off. And I'm kind of getting that the best way to enter this arena where you can cultivate greater sense of focus is through a playful, fun aspect of it. So for example, let's say it's a multi-step project and you're working on something that really matters to you, but it has a lot of elements to it. And some elements of it are easier than others. Maybe it's something that, an aspect that you really have no trouble with if it's not connected to this bigger vision. So maybe in your daily life, you find it very easy to dress up for something or to organize something in a specific way. But when it's connected to a project, you're kind of overlooking the fact that you're very good at that aspect and it actually brings you joy. So looking for that spark of inspiration, looking for that element or aspect that's easier for you to begin with. Maybe it doesn't fully make sense in this perfect vision in your mind of how the steps should work for the project, but the reality is beginning to work on a project is the perfect step. And then you can figure out the rest. You can always change or fine-tune things later if they are not really what wasn't truly the best for the overall vision. But just dipping your toes into the creative waters will give you a sense of opening, of breaching this stuckness, this stagnation, this breaking against the resistance. So you would benefit from playfully observing this area of your life where you would like to have greater sense of focus so you could deliver more, and noticing if there's something that just sparkles with this light feeling, a feeling of ease, of invitation, of something that you would enjoy doing otherwise. And beginning there, setting that up. Perhaps you're tired and you feel like your project would be overwhelming to really go deep into, but there's an aspect of it you can begin. I pretty much guarantee you, once you work on the small part of your project, the rest of it's going to seem so much more appealing to you, because you will have already invested into the entire thing. You will already feel the sense of flow. You will already kind of see some element of it that's probably working, and the rest of it will start calling you in, and it will be fairly irresistible. And then the main thing you'll need to do then is just be disciplined about distractions. So a lot of times the main issue with focusing on something that matters to you isn't actually being able to generate that sense of presence and attention to details and kind of being in a state of union with whatever you are working with, but it's the distractions. And we do live in a world full of distractions. Some of them are very shiny and really hard to resist, and some of them are actually pre-designed to be distracting and do not really carry anything else of note or meaning to us, and they're not really something we're choosing for ourselves. They're chosen for us by people whose focus and attention lie on something else that does not align with our goals or our dreams. So it's very important to be discerning with what is a true necessity and something that you need to take a little detour for, and what is a distraction. And I'm kind of getting deep inside most of the times. When you see it, you just know it's a distraction. Now, it might not be easy to say no to those distractions right away, but you could build a skill, a muscle of learning to kind of fend them off. And the greater your sense of focus becomes, the deeper the presence with your project or your area of life that you're working on goes, the more likely you are to be stronger in and protecting yourself from these distractions, because they're not going to seem as juicy, as shiny. They're just going to seem empty and surface level, or just busy work, like busy work for your mind. And of course, part of what I'm talking about here is a world of online. They can have a lot of very, very loud, very short, very shiny things, and it can be hard to navigate. It can be hard to really create a container which allows you to step away from all of that. But I'm actually getting that is the way. The way would be to create a container that's pretty clear, where you become your own master, you're master of your time, and you decide how much of that time you're willing to give to something random online, for example, or something random in your life, even demands of others that do not really align with what you're trying to do. So I'm reading this book or this essay rather, by Haruki Murakami right now, and he talks about music, but he really talks about creative process. And right now it's the part where he says that creative person ultimately has to be pretty selfish to really succeed. And I think he's being a little bit playful with that word. What he really means is that in order to really devote yourself to a vision, and creativity can be in many areas, it doesn't have to be specifically art. It can be your spirituality, it can be something you're working on as far as self-care goes, or maybe it's a business you're working on, and it's something that you're crafting whereas nothing was before, or not what you wanted was before. So this new creation, new vision requires a certain level of saying no to things outside of it, and that might be perceived as selfish, or you might consider it to be selfish in some way. But the reality is that only you can decide what matters to you, and you cannot really expect as a people, let alone as a entities, understand that. You can explain it to someone who's really close to you, but otherwise it's really up to you to take charge and to manage your projects, the projects of your life, and decide what it means for you to really be devoted to a vision. And so a lot of times being devoted to a vision means saying no to other things. And after a while, saying no to other things actually is going to feel really good, because you're going to know that you are ultimately committing to a state of deep focus, like trance state, and state of flow, and that state is very satisfying. And ultimately, a lot of times it can make you a better person, or it can make you feel better about your life, and that will shine out towards other people in your life, towards other projects in your life, towards other things that maybe are asking you for attention. Your cup will be full, because having a vision, having some kind of goal that really matters to you and not attending to it is actually very draining for your soul and for your body. It just makes you feel unwell eventually, and kind of makes you feel like your life is dull and great because you're not spending that time in the sacred container communing with divine creativity or whichever way you perceive it. But it's that state of greater communion was basically the great creative force, and that is for people who really seek that in their life. It's not just satisfying or nourishing, it's essential. So I'm kind of sensing the kind of people who would be watching this right now, the kind of people who would find this essential. So I urge you to raise your cup to the heavens, to the great creative force, and just let that inspiration come in and let that inspiration ignite that spark on your heart. And then it's up to you to devotedly, passionately, sometimes in a very grit way. Sometimes can be, but sometimes it can be a very passionate process, and sometimes it can be a bit of a routine. You just have to show up, and it might not be that exciting. But I'm urging you to let this spark not just come in, but to tend to it, to make sure you spend time with it as often as you can, and really cultivate this greater creative fire in your life and transform an area of your life that you're seeking to transform or create something new that hasn't been there before. And yeah, let that delight your soul and the souls of others, because a lot of times it actually has a beautiful effect on people and community and the world around you as well. That beautiful light of putting something out there that hasn't been there before, that your soul called you to create. So I'm very excited about this message, even for myself. It sounds really lovely to me. I'm definitely going to take heed of it as well. And I'm excited to see or hear what comes out for you from this and what kind of beautiful things you bring into the world and share, hopefully, with the world around you. Just remember that a lot of times this gift that comes in isn't just for you, it's for others around you. So once you feel like you're ready and you've devoted enough time and attention to your vision, to your projects, to your transformative processes, make sure you share, make sure you put it out into the world, and illuminate the lives of others with your offering. So lots of love until we meet again.